everybody, it's Patrick from Patrick and Friends Music Company, and today we're going to talk about how to play our melodic patterns on our scales. Now, if you are like how I was when you first learned your scales and you got them down front to back, memorized the shapes, and you're wondering, what do I do next? Well, the next step is to start practicing your melodic patterns. Melodic patterns are a way to practice your scales not just up and down, but rather in a certain musical way. A way you might hear in a more interesting melody, whether it's a solo, a riff, or a melody by itself. Melodic patterns will also help you grow a deeper understanding of your scale shapes, will help with your technical abilities with both your right and your left hand, and will help you grow a greater facility over your instrument and your fretboard. Now, what are melodic patterns? Melodic patterns are a pattern. They're a group of notes in a certain order and a certain interval that you practice and repeat up and down your scale shapes. We're going to learn 2 melodic patterns today on our first minor pentatonic shape, but you can practice these patterns on any shape and on any scale. Let's get right to it. Our first melodic pattern is what I like to call up 3 and back. What we're going to be doing is playing 3 notes up our scale shape, and then instead of moving on to the next note, we're going to go up 3 again, but start on the previous note we just played. So if we play the first, second, and third note of our scale shape, we're then going to go back to the second note of our shape and play the second, third, and fourth notes. And then we're going to repeat this pattern up our shape and then back down. Let's see what this looks like on our first G minor pentatonic shape. As a reminder, our first G minor pentatonic shape starts on the 3rd fret of our low E string and sounds like this. Now let's practice our melodic pattern with it. We're going to start on the 3rd fret of our E string, the first note in the shape, and go up the first 3 notes in the shape up to the 3rd fret of our A string. Then again, we're going to go up 3 notes again, but we're going to start on the previous note we just played. We're going to go back a note to the 6th fret of our E and play up 3 notes from there, up to the 5th fret of our A string. Then again, we're going to go back 1 note to the 3rd fret of our A string and play up 3 notes up to the 3rd fret of our D. Then we're going to continue this throughout our scale shape. So go back to the previous note and up 3, back to the note, up 3, back to our previous note, up 3, back a 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 note, up 3, all the way to the 6th fret of our high E string, last note in the shape. Then we're going to repeat that note and go back down. So now we're going to go down 3 and back. So start on the 6th fret of the high E and go to the 6th fret of the B string. Then go back to the 3rd fret of the high E, our previous note, and down 3 from there to the 3rd fret of the B. Go back a note to the 6th fret of the B, and down 3 from there to the 5th fret of the G. And then we're going to continue this down our shape. So back and down 3, back down 3, back and 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 down 3, all the way till we finish. This is a great way to practice this. You want to practice it slowly, really getting down the notes of your pattern. But then you want to practice playing it fluidly, up and down your scale shape without stopping, without pausing, making sure each note is the same length. So we're going to try this right now. We're going to go from the 3rd fret of our E string up to the 6th fret of our high E string. And we're going to go back down and we're just going to repeat that 6th fret so that we have a nice even sound and go all the way back down to the 3rd fret of our low E string. Let's try this. Again, start off practicing this slowly, just up and down your shape, making sure you get the notes, and then you can start playing it more fluidly and start keeping the notes at the same length. Once you get that down, move it to your other shapes, and then move it to your other scales and see what it sounds like. Our next pattern I like to call up, 4, and back. It is very similar to our last pattern, however, it does produce a different technique and a different sound. So all we're going to do is go up 4 notes in the shape. Then like the last pattern, we're going to go back to the previous note and play up 4 notes from there and continue this throughout our whole entire scale shape. So let's take a look at this on the G minor. We're going to start on the 3rd fret of our low E string, just like our last shape, and go up 4 notes to the 5th fret of our A string. Then we're going to go back to our previous note, the 3rd fret of our A string, and go up 4 notes from there to the 5th fret of the D. Then we're going to go back to the previous note, up 4, and do this for the rest of our shape. Backing up 4, backing up 4. Then we're going to go back down doing the same thing when you get to the end of your shape, the 6th fret of our E string. We're going to repeat that note and go down 4 notes to the 3rd fret of the B. Then we're going to go back to our previous note, the 6th fret of the B, and go down 4 notes to the 3rd fret of the G. Then we're going to continue this pattern down the rest of our scale shape. Back and down 4. Back and down 4. Back and down 4. All the way to the end of your shape. So this is a great way to practice it, slowly pausing after each pattern, making sure you get the notes down. However, our goal again is to play it fluidly up and down, making sure each note is equal length, and going up to the 6th fret of our high E string, repeating that note, making sure it's balanced, and going all the way back down to the beginning, the 3rd fret of our low E string. Let's see what this sounds like. Again, practice this pattern slowly until you can get it down fluidly, then move it to your other shapes and your other scales. This is a common one you'll see in solos using your major and minor scales. Now you may have already started to notice that when you practice your melodic patterns, you start to see your scale shapes differently. Rather than just being a vehicle from going from one note of the scale to the next note, you see it as a source of melody in itself. Now what I mean by this is you're not going to necessarily see someone just go up and down their scale shape using their melodic pattern, but you'll see it in small bursts and in small ways in certain riffs or licks or melodies. So let's take a look at this lick right here. So I use the melodic pattern 2 times in that riff. I started on the 5th fret of the D string, went up 3 notes in our shape to the 5th fret of the G, went back to the 3rd fret of the G, and went up 3 notes to the 3rd fret of our B string. Then I answered it with a nice arpeggio riff down. So you can start to see how you can use your patterns melodically. Now these are just 2 patterns, but there are so many patterns out there for you to practice. As you get more advanced in your guitar playing, you can start practicing some more advanced melodic patterns. If you want access to more patterns and start to learn how to play them, make sure you check out Sebastian's video on the Patch & Friends Music Company channel, where he talks about how to play patterns over your major scales. Now I hope to see you in the next video, but in the meantime, happy practicing.